Godlike.
What is up, guys? This is Godlike Matt, and I'm here to talk to you guys about tilting in general, and raging and that sort of thing. So we're talking about like frustration, mostly in regards to video games, but this can also be applied to the concept in general. And because this is something that I personally struggle with, so I thought that everybody could use the helpful reminder and healthy mindset, and also, you know, a way to understand what's actually going on, and it hopefully can help you guys better whatever it is that you're doing and all that. So that's my intent here. But before we really begin and get into it, I just want to say that you know, I'm not the greatest Street Fighter V player in the world, and what you're about to see, the footage you guys are seeing right now, is more or less low-level play, and, you know, I'm not ashamed of that. I'm not the greatest player at the game, and not to mention, you know, I made this video taking an opportunity to try out the new character, which is Urian, and I'm actually having a lot of fun with him, so all these matches are going to be of me playing him, and not at the greatest level. So just a heads up to everybody, you know, the gameplay is just going to be there as something to watch, visual eye candy for you, while you more or less listen to what I have to say. So with that out of the way, let's begin. So anyone who watches my videos or is a regular to my channel or a subscriber, you would probably know that raging and going on tilt and stuff like that is something that I personally struggle with quite a lot, and I'm definitely no stranger to getting angry and upset and being very vocal about it, much to your guys' delight and entertainment. But there's no doubt about the fact that it's very frustrating and it's mentally strenuous, and, you know, I find once you go on that path, once you start doing it, it becomes so easy to not be able to stop and to just keep giving yourself a subconscious reason to just continue and keep going. It's like crying. When you start crying, all you want to do is keep crying, and it's so easy to just continue. But it's the same thing with anger and a lot of other things, but that was just the one analogy I came up with. And you know, I find when I'm playing fighting games, because I'm such a competitive gamer, me personally, it's being competitive is so integrated into my very being, and it's something that I've always had. I'm a very competitive person, and I feel like it's in my blood. It's never going to change, but being competitive doesn't always have to be a bad thing. Being competitive, I'd like to consider myself a friendly competitive gamer, to be more specific, and I just love a good competition. I love, you know, I get a thrill out of beating the crap out of my opponent and showing him that I am better than him, and that just gives me such a great sense of pleasure, and I'm sure a lot of people could agree. Mind you, I know there's a lot of casual gamers out there who could really care less, but games like this, games like Street Fighter, or fighting games in general, those aren't really games for people like that, and they're more directed towards people like me, and I truly believe that. And, you know, being competitive, you know, this is something I've always struggled with, being a competitive gamer, and I find when I'm, you know, playing fighting games specifically, I'm competitive in more than just fighting games. I'm also very competitive in anything I play, really, like shooters or whatever, for example. But I find when I'm playing these games, my biggest struggle, like the opponent I struggle with the most, is honestly myself. And I feel like I'm my own worst enemy most of the time. Like when I'm fighting somebody in a fighting game, for example, and they're giving me a really hard time, and I'm starting to get frustrated, and I can't really stop and think and actually pay attention to what it is I should be doing, that's one of my biggest struggles. And again, it's so easy to just fly off the rails and let everything make you mad, but if you can just get a grip on that and actually just be able to stay calm throughout the the duration of the match. It's a really hard thing to do, there's no doubt about it, but if you can actually pull it off, it's a great way to stay calm and to keep yourself under control and to stop yourself from not flying off the rails. And I know that that's easier said than done, but for me personally, a technique I like to utilize that works very well for me is when when I get into a game, in Street Fighter V, for example, and actually just today with Urien, when I recorded these matches, all I was focused on doing is just hitting my combo, for example. Before I went into these matches, I completed all of Urien's trials. I practiced his combos. I went on YouTube, looked up some combos for him, and I try to hit them. And, the biggest way to improve is to try and be able to hit those combos or whatever it is you're trying to do on an actual human player and not so much on the CPU, because you could spend hours and hours and hours in training mode and you could learn a lot, but being able to effectively use what you've learned is a completely different story, and it is way easier said than done. And I feel like the true experience you need to be able to be a good fighting game player comes from fighting other players, because that's what it's all about. And for fighting games specifically, I find fighting games are one of the biggest mental battles you could ever have in general, because that's all a fighting game is. When you get down to it, when you get past all the technical stuff and all the combos and all that, it's one big mental fight. It's a mental, battle with your opponent, and getting into their head, knowing what they're going to do, being able to predict what they do based off of how they play and what they've done, and it's all data that you have to collect. And the faster you can do it, the better you can be at playing fighting games. But to keep yourself from going off tilt, it's good to just keep a clear mindset and remember what it is you're doing when you go into these games. Like, you gotta stop and remember, oh wait, why am I playing Street Fighter? I'm playing Street Fighter because I love the character Urien, and I want to get better with him. So, what do I need to do that? Well, sitting there complaining and getting mad about everything that's not going my way isn't going to help me at all in the long run. It's not going to do anything for me. It's just going to make things harder on myself. So what I like to do, as I've said, with Urien specifically, is during every match, I just try to hit my one combo. But, obviously it's better to know multiple combos for every situation and be able to effectively hit them all. But one step at a time, baby steps. Like, if you have these huge, unrealistic expectations of yourself, you're bound to disappoint yourself, and you're more likely to fail. You need to not expect so much of yourself, and you need to not worry so much about losing. And, before I jump into ranked, what I always like to do is play a bunch of casual matches first, just to get me into the groove, get a feel for the game, because that's something I always need to do when I turn on Street Fighter. I don't remember everything the second I turn the game on. I gotta practice first and shake off that rust. That's a process that I always have to do. It's like my built-in routine. I always need to do it. And like I said, I find, if I can ever just hit that one combo that I know, hit the whole thing flawlessly in a real game against a real opponent, that's a personal victory for me. I don't even care if I lose. If I can hit that combo, I'm like, yes, I did it. I'm one step closer to being able to hit this combo whenever I need to hit it. And that is something to be so proud of and to be happy about always. And, because I find those are the things that put me on tilt. I could play an opponent who just gets in my head and he won't let me hit that combo fucking once. And it becomes very draining and strenuous and very taxing, and it could easily discourage you from playing the game. And that is like the easiest way to set yourself on tilt, is if you have these crazy high expectations for yourself, and you shouldn't. most people aren't pros at these games. The fighting game community is a small one, and the people who are truly amazing at this game, they work hard at it, and they put their all. They play for hours and hours and hours every day to do what it is they do. And it's really hard to remember that sometimes, you know. Whenever I jump into fighting games, I want to be the best. And that goes for any video game or anything I do in general. I always want to be the best at what it is I'm doing. And it's not so much about, you know, beating my opponents or showing everyone that I'm better than them and making them feel shitty about it. It's not about that. It's about the great feeling you get when you do something amazing and when you know you're good at something. When you know you could be the best you could possibly be at something. Maybe not the best in the world, but the best you personally can be. That's something to be really happy about. And that's what you got to remember in the long run. And it's so easy to forget that. You know, look at pros, for example. Like, the pros, for me personally, are like the biggest inspiration I can have in a fighting game. You know, whenever I really love a fighting game and I'm passionate about a certain one, I'll always like go online and look up like tournaments or watch my favorite players at work and see them truly shine in their most amazing moments in the spotlight. And to me, that's always my biggest inspiration. You know, I see a pro that I'm a big fan of do something really sick, and I'm like, I want to be able to do that. You know, like that is awesome. Being able to do that on the fly and you know, utilize it when you need to is just one of the greatest feelings that you can have in a video game, for me personally. And you know what? Whenever I'm getting mad, I stop and think to myself, you know, think about the pros that are inspiring me. If they let every match that they ever lost piss them off, they wouldn't be where they are now. They wouldn't be anywhere near where they are now. And like, that's something they're so good at. Like, to them, to pros, losing is an opportunity to better yourself. That's how they see it. When they lose, they don't get mad. They don't stop and get pissed about every little thing that didn't go their way. They stop, they analyze the situation. Hell, this is why it's such a great reason to record your matches, because you can stop and watch them and see where you need to better yourself, which is something they do regularly. But, you know, when they lose, they'll stop and look at themselves and be like, okay, where did I go wrong? What did I do that was stupid, and where can I better myself? Okay, you know, I made a mistake here. You know, when I went for the block string, I should have went for an overhead, and I wasn't even thinking about it. So that's something I need to mentally tell myself more often to do when I'm in that situation again. And I got to remember that. So the next time I'm put in that situation, it won't go the same way. And, you know, that's not the greatest example, but I tried to give a lifelike example of how they see things and how the mental process goes for them. It's similar. You know, obviously I can't speak for them because I'm not a pro, but that's how I imagine they do it, and that's how they look at it for the most part. And that is the right way to play. It's like, for people who have issues playing fighting games and just get too mad and fly off the rail, that's how you really need to see things in order to see clearly and to be able to better yourself. That's how you gotta do it. Because I find, you know, the second something matters to you, that's when you're so likely to fuck up. It's so true. Like, for me, because I'm so competitive, you know, when I play ranked, I don't want to lose. And when I get, no matter how hard I tell myself, you know, don't get angry when you lose, Matt. When I lose and I see my LP drop and my ranking go down and them take those points from me and better themselves, I just get this churning in my gut, and I can't avoid it. No matter how mentally prepared I am to lose, I cannot avoid that gut-wrenching feeling when I lose and when they take the points from me. And, you know, it's something that it's a feeling that I just can't deny. And it's because I care so much. Because of my competitive nature, I care so much about my rank. And that's the big struggle for me, and I find no matter how much I prepare myself, it's something that I always struggle with. So you gotta not care so much. And again, that's so much easier said than done, but it's something you constantly gotta remind yourself to not care. Once you can get over that hurdle, and once losing doesn't bother you, when you see losses as opportunities to better yourself, that's when you're golden. That's when you're going to climb. That's when you're going to get tons of points, and the wins are just going to start rolling in. And that's really how you got to look at it. Having a good mentality when playing these games is one step to being better. It's amazing how much better you can play these games just by changing your mentality. You will see such a difference in your gameplay. You will see such a rising level of skill in your game personally, just from a mentality difference. It's amazing how unhealthy the negative motions can be and just make you play like garbage, like trash. It's so true, because it's something I've been with. I've been playing fighting games majority of my life since I was a little kid, and it's always something that I've struggled with, and it's something that as I've developed and come to learn these things, I have noticed such a significant change, and it shocks me to this day. I look at myself and I'm like, wow, look how much better I am at these games, all because I think about things differently. Aside from being mechanically skilled, being able to hit those combos every fucking time, 100% of the time, and just be a great player, aside from that, the mentality is another, source of your strength altogether that you have to hone, that you have to train and practice with, not just mechanics. And that's a lot of people, that's something that a lot of people don't think about. I totally just had a brain meltdown. My brain collapsed for a second there. But yeah, like that's something that a lot of people don't think of, or aren't even capable of thinking when they let losing get to them too much. They can't see. All they see is red, and they can't think about those things. But it's something that you really need to keep in mind and constantly remind yourself of, and you will see progress in your gameplay. I can assure you, I promise you, I speak from experience. So, that's why I want to help you guys do the same thing, because it means so much to me, and I see how much it's done for me personally, and I know it could do the same for you guys. You just have to adapt that mentality, and it's amazing how much progress you'll see in yourself. And you know what, honestly guys, all the mentality talk aside, something you really need to ask yourself is, like, when this game, or any game in general, when something stops being fun, why are you doing it? You need to really ask yourself that. When you guys, when all you can see is red, and you can't think about bettering yourself or what you should be doing, or all that, you really need to stop and ask yourself, why are you doing it? Like, why are you putting yourself through that agony and rage and fury? Like, what's the reason? Are these games fun to you anymore? Why are you doing it? Like, and that's an important question, because, like, for example, if you're playing Street Fighter V all the time, and you come out of every match, like, pissed off, like, if every loss angers you, or even when the matches you win but you didn't perform adequately enough to your own expectations, and you just find yourself constantly being angry, and that you're not really gaining that much from actually playing, why are you playing at that point? You really need to ask yourself that, because if you're just complaining constantly non-stop, there's no point in you playing the game anymore. It's not fun for you anymore, so there's absolutely no point. And if the game is not fun for you anymore, that's when you stop playing it, because you're just putting yourself through all that nonsense for literally no reason, and there's absolutely no reason to do it. And that goes without saying, but that's ultimately what it comes down to. If you can have fun playing these games, then try to have the most fun you can have playing these games. You know, don't put yourself through all that bullshit for no reason if you're not getting anything from it. Because that's ultimately what video games are for, or even games in general. So that's an important message that all competitive people should constantly remind themselves about, and it's something that, it's definitely a question that you need an answer to, for sure. Especially if this is something that you do regularly on your free time, almost all the time. But I've pretty much said everything that I've wanted to say, and you know, I hope you guys gain something from this. I really hope that I've opened your eyes to, you know, not only what's going on and what's happening, for those of you who can relate, but also the possibility and the opportunities in yourself that you have yet to exploit or pursue. And I really hope that this has helped you guys out with that. I truly do, because if this video has helped you become a better gamer, then mission accomplished on my part, and I couldn't be happier. So I really hope that you guys take something away from this, and let me know your thoughts. Let me know how this video made you feel in the comments, or what you took away from it, or if you didn't take anything away from it, or if you think I'm stupid, or you know, if you think I really shouldn't be talking, or that I have no idea what I'm talking about. Let me know in the comments. Tell me your thoughts. I'd like to hear them, even if they're rude. I don't care. It would be a discussion worth having, I think. But anyways, guys, that's going to be it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, I really hope that this helped you out, and if it did, let me know. Or, hey, you can even subscribe if you feel like it. But, anyways, now that I'm done shamelessly advertising myself, there you guys have it. And I will definitely see you guys in the next video, and I hope you have a great day, and I'll let you just finish off this match, and that'll be it. So thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed.
You win!